lovely morning and I would love to be writing and I can't. Well, one, if any of you have been watching any of my other videos, you know I'm preparing to move in like a couple of weeks actually, but mainly because we took a trip to go visit family and my darling children came back with a cold, and that is okay. I can deal with that. So then of course that kind of hinders me from writing and packing, because that's actually what I was going to do, you know, write and pack and all that lovely stuff, but that's okay. So I guess right now, I guess you could say it's procrastination, because even as I sit here and talk it out loud, it really doesn't make sense. Like, I seriously could be trying to find time to write in between the time that they're sick and packing, but I just can't. I can't focus, and especially since I've been up since 1 o'clock this morning. Let me restate that. I didn't get barely any sleep. I didn't go to sleep till 1 o'clock this morning. And because of that, a little sleep deprived. But that's okay, because I have some of my family coming to help us clean out the garage, because yeah, I don't do spiders. Naked FireFly does not do spiders. I do a lot of creatures I can deal with, insects, snakes even. I can even deal with snakes. Spiders, I do not do spiders, so I need reinforcements. Sit here and think about it. I think there's like different levels of procrastination, and I literally could be wrong. This could be me literally just talking out of the air, but I believe that like there's that procrastination that some mothers feel like they have, but it's not really procrastination. It's more like a schedule thing. And then there's times where you get so tired after dealing with children and people. If you have a spouse, tired of dealing with your spouse. If you work outside the home or inside the home, you're kind of done with people by the end of the day. So you kind of want to procrastinate and kind of just want to go brain dead by sitting in front of the TV and watching something, or getting on social media, because that can kill a few brain cells too if you're up there long enough. And then I think there's also that procrastination where I don't want to say you're blocked, because I don't like using that, but you sometimes don't feel the urge to write. And I know I've read somewhere where some people are just like, no, just work through it, just write through it. But that doesn't work for everybody. I've tried that one time, tried to write through it just to get through it, and I literally ended up doodling in the notebook that I was writing. So it was kind of pointless for me to even try to work through it. And if you're wondering where I'm going to the store to get more medicine and soup and honey for my lovely babies. Yes, there's somebody there with them. So anyways, I think sometimes that type of procrastination, you're just blocked and you're trying to work through it. I think that can actually be worked through if the thing that's blocking you should not be worked on, and that's just my opinion. I think that if you're procrastinating and writing, then maybe to undo the procrastination or undo the block, it should not be writing. It literally should be something else that's creative, something else that can get your juices flowing. Now, when I do that, when I work on something else, then all these ideas come back to me. Like, prime example, when I don't know, if I decide to crochet or knit, which I haven't done in like a few years, but if I decide to do that outside of writing, all of a sudden all these ideas would come as my fingers are moving. But then again, I'm a person that loves to write by hand, so maybe that's my thing. I have to do something with my hands, that's like with my fingers anyway, because that's what I write with, that's what I create with. Or another thing is I might refresh myself on my languages. Like, you seriously just sat there and just tried to take up this whole road, that small car. Okay. So I might work on the languages that I know. That might be my thing sometimes. Might refresh myself. Or right now I'm learning German and Korean at the moment. So I might be sitting there trying to do both of those. Please don't move. Okay. And that would be my thing. And then you have procrastinators who just don't want to do the work. Like, they want to walk around with the title to say that they're a writer. And if you haven't noticed, I got a new pair of glasses. Anyways, they want to walk around with the title of writer, but they don't want to write. And to me, that's either procrastination or either you're just wasting all of our time. And then some people, because I believe that we all are meant to tell a story. Some of us are better at grammar than others when it comes to writing. I know I'm not that strong in grammar when it comes to writing it. The English language actually confuses me. Well, I'm not even gonna say the English language. I'm gonna say the American language. The American language confuses me. Even though the English grammar confuses me overall, the American language confuses me sometimes. And trying to teach it to my children to read can become a headache because they're just like, but you just told me that word is... Anyway, that's a story for a different day. So I guess today I'm doing a mommy procrastination. So yeah, I wanted to also talk about some things that I wanted to do just to update people on what's going on, because I know I have not been on YouTube for about a good month. And one, I was trying to plan out things, and two, prepare myself mentally for this move. So what I really want to do, or what I plan on doing, what I'm scheduling, is that when I get over to Germany, I do plan on staying on schedule for the Tuesdays and Fridays with the uploads. And also I will be doing a video on the mystery book, and of course some more Tea with Miss E videos, as well as I do want to get back into my yoga and exercise routine. Hopefully y'all can actually see me, even though it would probably look like, oh, she hasn't done this in a bit. I have not. Mind you, I have not done yoga in like 10 months. So it might be a little embarrassing. Also, I still want to do some live streams, but of course that won't happen until I get a new computer, and that won't happen until I get to Germany. So there's that. Also, I was thinking about doing a Facebook group, but then after I sat there and thought about it, I'm like, I'm barely on social media as it is, and I can just see it now. That poor group would be sitting there like, where is our leader? Like, is this group even worth it? So I don't think I'm going to do that. However, I have updated my website. It is in the description below. However, I have thought about doing podcasts, and I only say that because after watching Carol Brown's video on podcasting, as well as listening to what's her name, Joanna Penn, I've been debating it about doing podcasts. It probably wouldn't be writing related. It'll be more like I might just read a couple of short stories or a couple of excerpts from projects that I'm working on. It's still in the brainstorming stage. Then again, I might not do it. I might just scrap that or save it for later on in my career. I haven't decided yet though. I am heading back home because it seems the people who are going to help me clean out my garage have arrived, and I am happy. Plus, I got to make some soup for my children, even though they're sitting there looking for cereal and things that kids look for. And I'm just like, no, soup. We're having soup. Your throats hurt. And I just feel bad that they don't feel good. I'm not so bad as that I did try to catch it. I think I did, because it's not as bad as it could have been. It's actually just sore throats and, you know, runny noses. I believe it would have been a lot worse if I didn't catch it. And poor baby girl, poor little mini Firefly, she has a sore throat, and so she's not happy. So I got her. There's actually like some drops for babies, and it's from agave syrup. And I know I use agave in a lot of my recipes. And I'm like, well, that is like a lot better than honey. So I got that for her. So yeah, we're about to go in here and tear up this garage. Might even see me scream and holler a few times. And then hopefully tomorrow I can actually do a writing segment. But we'll see. Because I haven't been able to write. Like, I've been able to get on a few live streams, you know, participate and write in some words. But not to my ability. So I'm kind of wanting to kick myself, but at the same time I know life, it happens. So yeah, I'm gonna go do this. I wanted to try to write like Octavia Butler. Now, as many of you know, I love Toni Morrison. I also love Beverly Jenkins. And I like Octavia Butler. And I like Octavia Butler because she was even though she was a sci-fi writer, I respect her for what she did. I mean, her words are beautifully written, especially her later works. So one of her things was that she got up between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. She'd write for 4 hours or so, and before she went to her shift at the restaurant. And then when she turned 23 and she made her big break, she still got up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And she would write for 3 or more hours. The only difference was she got up and she started doing morning walks before she started writing. Then after that, she would take like a small break and then she'd write something else. I got up at 3. It is now 3:18. I wanted to try it. And another thing that she did, she also wrote affirmations for herself. And these affirmations were things like that she was going to be a best-selling author, that she was going to be, you know, on the bestsellers list and these other lists, and that a lot of her works were going to be famous for this amount of time. And it was amazing. I mean, and she went for it. She said these things after each writing session, and they came true. Now, before I had Mini FireFly, I was doing affirmations for myself. And honestly, I don't know why I stopped, to be honest with you, because I was doing them for a good year. I would write them down and then say them out loud, but I did them before my writing sessions. And then I stopped. I don't know why. And she also, now what she drank in the morning, I do not know. I had water. Even though right now I'm feeling like I need coffee or tea. Unfortunately for me, I can't have that right now, but that's okay. But it's fortunate for many FireFly, but unfortunate for me. So we're gonna go ahead and get to the writing session. It is 3:21 and I need to get started, especially if I'm gonna do this for like 4 hours before my lovely little ones get up. So let's get started. What I'm gonna be doing is probably handwriting, because since this is Octavia Butler, a lot of her writing was done in spiral notebooks or, you know, spiral tablets. Of course, that's right down my alley. But I will be writing in one of these. Moleskin. Yeah, this 3 o'clock thing is not for me. I get up, the earliest I get up is 5. So yeah, the moleskin. But I can't go for a walk. My husband's not here. And my neighborhood is, she probably lived in a safer neighborhood, but then again, the woman looked like she could probably take a few. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't look like I can take anybody. I look like somebody can just literally knock me over the head at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with this. And yeah, I'm probably doing it in spurts, considering the fact that somebody might wake up. So we'll see what happens. The other thing was that she did research, and the research that she did, she took notes on. She put in a spiral notebook about the parts that she needed, what she had learned from that, and then she used it in her book, and she wrote all that too. And then she also would take these spiral notebooks or the spiral tablet, and she wrote in there about her project, what was going on with her project, why she was writing the project. It was a beautiful thing. Like, by the time I was done studying her, I thought this was just a beautiful, beautiful, not only person, but a writer. And the only reason why I even decided to do this video was because I heard one of her short stories read by LeVar Burton yesterday. And I was just like, yo, her words are like water. I need to be like that. And then I was like, well, you know what? I know Kate does a lot of these writing like
videos, so I don't want anybody thinking I'm trying to bite off her. I was like, however, it is a good inspiration, and I would love to try to write like Octavia Butler. That's the only reason why I'm doing this. So don't come for me. I'm not the one. Not after we got it. Not the one. The last 11 minutes, I had to go tend to the baby, but I'm still gonna count it, whatever. But just from that hour, I got like a good page and more than half. Like I was always almost down to the second page. So I believe that within an hour, I probably would have had 2 pages done. But there was also something interesting. To me, it was interesting about Octavia Butler. Personally, I read Octavia Butler before I read her novels. And some of her novels were actually very, very good. And then some of them, you can tell that it was the beginning of her career. And that's one thing that I love about authors. Like, you can read their earlier works and then read their later works and see the growth that they made over the years. So with Octavia Butler, there's some things I found on Google besides the fact that she woke up between 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And actually, it was a very rough start because within 20 minutes or so, I can literally write an entire page. So as you can see, I was struggling for like those first few minutes because my brain was still like cussing me out, literally. Like, what are you doing? And blase, blase, blase. Some of her advice was to read. And I mean, to be a good writer, you really do need to read. That's important. She would say, read about the art, the craft, and the business of writing. Read the kind of work you would like to write. Now, I've had heard from Beverly Jenkins that she sometimes will not even read romance. Even though she writes it and she's very good at it, she will not read it. And I've read other authors do that too. And I can see their side of it, why they will not do it. Because then you don't want to feel like you're biting off of somebody else's work. You want to make it feel like it's your own. But of course, there's nothing new underneath the sun. It's just that you bring your own voice to it. And then Octavia Butler, of course, says, read the work that you would like to write. I like that advice because like right now, I'm working on the cozy mystery. So even though I was writing, my first work was a romance, I had already read a whole lot of romance since I was 12. Cozy mystery, I've started reading that like maybe beginning of last year. I used to love watching cozy mystery, but it can be a little different when it's written down on paper. Read good literature and bad fiction and fact. And I like that. Like, don't only read the good, read the bad, so then you can learn from it. You're literally putting yourself in school. If you commute to work, or if you spend part of your day doing relatively mindless work, listen to book tapes or audiobooks. Provide a painless way to ponder use of language, the sounds of words, conflict, characterization, plotting, and the multitudes of ideas you can find in history, biography, medicines, the sciences, etc. Of course, she also said to take classes and go to writers' workshops, to write and write every day. She even says write whether you feel like writing or not. That is interesting because I know I've read that by other authors as well. And I'm still like, yeah, no. If I don't feel like writing, I can't do it. My brain will not let me. But I can also see where they come from with that. So I'm gonna try that. from now on. Choose a time of day. My time of day is usually 5 o'clock in the morning, not 2 or 3. Perhaps you can get up an hour earlier, stay up an hour later, give up an hour of recreation, or even give up your lunch hour. If you can't think of anything in your chosen genre, keep a journal. You should be keeping one anyway. Journal writing helps you to be more observant of your world, and a journal is a good place to store story ideas for later projects. And I've been doing that for a bit. Revise your writing until it's as good as you can make it. Don't make the mistake of ignoring flaws that are obvious to you. The moment you find yourself saying that doesn't matter, it's good enough, stop, go back, fix the flaw, make a habit of doing your best. And it is now 4:45 because I was sitting here fighting with my phone to clear up some space. So we're going to go back to the writing for the rest of the time. So on my timer, I now have 2 hours and 50 more minutes before I have done 4 hours. So I'm gonna get back to it. Probably trying to tell me it's too early in the morning for this. It is now 5:30, and with that I got maybe 75% of that particular page done. At least we know that, because I'm sure Octavia Butler didn't have as many interruptions as I did. I'm sure that, you know, she didn't do YouTube, so her phone didn't constantly fill up on storage, possibly didn't even die. Just saying. I did want to read something else right quick before I went back and finished up, because now I have at least like 2 hours and 5 minutes left. Okay, so right quick. She also said, submit your work for publication. And I mean, that's just a duh if you're doing traditionally published. If you're doing self-publishing, I guess in this case, you're submitting it to an editor. But in this case, it would have been traditional. She says, first research the market that interests you, of course. Submit your work. She says, if the idea of doing this scares you, fine. Go ahead and be afraid, but send your work out anyway. If it's rejected, send it out again and again. Rejections are painful, but inevitable. They're every writer's rite of passage. And don't give up on your piece of work. Don't give up on a piece of work that you can't sell. You may be able to sell it later to new publications or to new editions of old publications. At worst, you should be able to learn from your rejected work. You may even be able to use all or part of it in a new work. She also said, here are some potential impediments for you to forget about. And these 3 were interesting. First, forget inspiration. And of course, when I read that, I was like, I have to be inspired. What are you talking about? Habit is more dependable. Habit will sustain you whether you're inspired or not. Habit will help you finish and polish your stories. Inspiration won't. Habit is persistent and practice. Number 2, forget talent. If you have it, fine. Use it. If you don't have it, it doesn't matter. As habit is more dependable than inspiration, continued learning is more dependable than talent. Never let pride or laziness prevent you from learning, improving your work, changing its direction when necessary. Persistence is essential to any writer. The persistence to finish your work, to keep writing in spite of rejection, to keep reading, studying, submitting work for sale. But stubbornness, the refusal to change unproductive behavior or to revise unsalvageable work, can be lethal to your writing hopes. And 3, finally, don't worry about imagination. And of course, when I heard that, I was like, what? Because usually I write what I see, okay? So she says, you have all the imagination that you need, and all the reading, journal writing, and learning you will be doing will stimulate it. Play with your ideas. Have fun with them. Don't worry about being silly or outrageous or wrong. So much of writing is fun. It's first letting your interest and your imagination take you anywhere at all. Once you're able to do that, you'll have more ideas than you can use. Then the real work of fashioning them into a story begins. Stay with it. I'm going to get back into, see, now this is the hour that I would be up. Now my brain is like, we're up now, let's do this. I got like 2 hours and a minute left, and see how much more I can get done. And hopefully my children will stay asleep long enough for me to finish. And then at the end, I will let you know how I feel about Octavia Butler's writing routine. I got thirsty. What I can say about Octavia Butler's way of writing is, or her writing routine, is that so far it's effective, because I'm almost down to 4 pages of writing, and which, I mean, I could get on a good day if everybody was asleep or, you know, preoccupied. Basically how I used to write before, you know, 5 children. Like maybe at 3 children I was able to get that many pages. I do see the whole getting up at 3 o'clock being somewhat effective, because your brain, of course, 1, has to wake up, and 2, your brain starts to go, especially when it's so quiet and it's not busy. The rejection thing, I know what she's talking about. Just recently I had my romance rejected by an agent, which was fine because I sent it back out. I'm considering maybe doing pitch wars. I haven't decided fully, but I'm considering it. But when I got the rejection, it didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. Like, I actually sat there and was kind of just like, okay, well, moving on. And I guess I didn't get a sense of rejection. I got a sense of maybe this is not what she's looking for. Maybe this is not what she wants to put out in the market. Maybe, you know, there's somebody else who's actually looking for something what I've got. I didn't see it as a form of, oh, my stuff is not good, da-da-da-da-da. Of course, if they had caught me some years ago, I probably would have been devastated. But I actually was like, maybe it's not what she's looking for. That's fine. Somebody out there is looking for this. Or, hey, if it doesn't come to that, there's other options, right? So I'm gonna get up here and I'm gonna try to finish up that last hour. So I have finished the time. I've done, oh my goodness, 3 hours of writing, and I look like I've been up for a bit. Within those 3 hours, I have done 6 1/4 of pages. It probably would have been more if I didn't get so distracted. It was worth it. The other day when I talked about types of procrastination, I believe Octavia Butler's way of doing it was actually a way to fight procrastination. And also at the end of each of her writing sessions, she does a affirmation, or she does affirmations for herself. And she would do affirmations like, I'm a best-selling writer, I write best-selling books and and excellent short stories. Every day in every way, I am researching and writing my award-winning best-selling books and short stories. Every one of my books reaches and remains for 2 and more months at the top of the bestseller list of Publishers Weekly, The Washington Post, The New York Times, The Los Angeles Times, etc., etc., etc. So be it, see to it. And I think that's a wonderful affirmation. She would put it on the back of the spiral notebook. Now, the only reason why I haven't written in this spiral notebook the plot points or the outline, I guess you can say, for the mystery, but I think that's an excellent thing to write on the back of anybody's notebook, or put it on note cards and put it on your board, somewhere where you can literally see it every single day and say it. And since technically I did say it by reading it, I am going to write it down for myself. I used to do affirmations on note cards and put them on the board behind me. And then when the board got full, I'd say each of them as I was taking them down, and then put them to the side, and then start a whole new row, a whole new board of affirmations. They do work. When I used to do them, I never did anything to that extent. That's awesome. And I am going to have to borrow that from Miss Octavia Butler, and I'm sure, rest in peace, she is not going to mind if I do. But I am going to start back up my affirmations. Now, what the naked FireFly is getting ready to do is shut down her lights and take a nap, because fireflies need naps too. And right now, as you can see, I'm starting to look like the mom who stayed up all night, and that doesn't work for me. So if there's anybody else that you would like to see me do, let me know in the comments. That would be awesome. I want to thank Kate for the inspiration to be able to do this. Also, I want y'all to check out like some of Octavia Butler's short stories. If you haven't read any of her short stories, they're awesome. Check out her novels. Her novels are good. Me personally am drawn more to her short stories. I'm not a person that cares for sci-fi, not sci-fi books anyway, but reading her material made me actually have a newfound respect and a newfound love for sci-fi. And I'm hoping to come across other sci-fi authors, especially those of different ethnic backgrounds, especially those of color, especially women of color. I'm gonna go take a rest, because I also know for a fact that Octavia Butler, after she would write, when she stopped working at the restaurant and she was like literally writing at home, she would actually switch. She'd take a short break and switch to another project. Naked FireFly can't do that right now. Naked FireFly needs some rest, and then maybe when I wake up from a nap, I can probably switch to another project. So happy writing to all of you. Tell me whether you like this video. Hit that, thumbs up button, thumbs down if you want to, whatever. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, notification bell, so you can get updates or, notifications of when I upload new videos. Peace and love.